This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by promoter Eddie Hearn here in Saudi Arabia. Eddie, you've had a long day of media. How are you feeling?
Yeah,
Save the best
tired.
till last.
Yeah. I mean, part of the job. A lot of interviews with the same questions, some different kind of interviews, but it's all part of the job leading up to Saturday, which you can't not be excited about Saturday. So at least I'm talking about an incredible night of boxing and one that we don't really know what's going to happen across the board.
Let's just start off with the main event before we obviously come on to some obvious topics. Beterbiev-Bivol was speaking to Beterbiev-Bivol's promoter Frank Smith the other day, who emphasised the confidence of the team that this will go in Dimitri's favour this time around. What's got to be different? What more does Dimitri have to do to have his hand raised?
I think he's got to stay switched on for longer. Like, for me, after 9 rounds, he was completely dominating the fight, like in terms of scores. He lost 10, 11, 12, which for me closed the gap, but he still won the fight, and I stand by that. So he's got to convince the judges that he deserves to win the fight, and hopefully we have a good set that understand that, you don't just win a fight through coming on the front foot, you win a fight through scoring. But he's got to stay switched on longer. I do expect Beterbiev to start faster. Now that may suit Dimitri because he'll make more mistakes, Beterbiev, but he's a handful. He does look a bit different this time, Dimitri. He looks stronger. He's got a different kind of look in his eye, but you never really know till they get in there what kind of camps they've had, how the injuries are, whatever. It's a fast turnaround. I expect our man to win.
Over the last few years, Artur Beterbiev's had a number of postponements for various fights, including this one first time around was postponed on numerous occasions. When you look at it now, he hasn't had that. So from his perspective...
Yeah, is that good or bad?
That's what I was going to say. How much more of a dangerous proposition could that be? Because he's been able to go straight back into camp and go straight back into this fight without any injuries or issues to overcome.
Again, you won't know till the fight. I mean, sometimes a fast turnaround, someone said to me, it's not good for Beterbiev at that age, a fast turnaround. I'm like, well, it's probably better than not doing anything for 7 or 8 months. I don't think it really matters. You're going to get 2 elite fighters, and it'll all come down to the performance on the night.
I was interested to know as well, I know it's one fight at a time, but how everything aligns beyond this fight, because you've obviously got Canelo who's announced a 4-fight deal. I imagine there might be talks at some point beyond Crawford. Does he face the winner of Saturday's fight? Benavidez is obviously being mentioned as WBC mandatory. Where does the winner go?
I don't know. I mean, I guess if Bivol wins, His Excellency might look for the rubber match. Got Benavidez, Bivol Canelo is still a massive fight, a chance for Canelo to become undisputed at 175 and avenge the defeats. Like there's huge options out there for both guys. Mandatories are popping up. The winner of Smith-Boatzy will be a mandatory as well.
So there's obviously a lot of options there for how that division could play out. But moving down to lightweight, Floyd Schofield.
Yeah.
From your perspective, Eddie, just break down for me the run of events as to how he ended up having to be pulled by the British Boxing Board of Control.
I mean, really, I came into it quite late, which was Tuesday when I arrived. They said that Floyd Schofield had taken himself to hospital. They were running tests. Saw some bizarre tweets from Floyd and his father. And then I had a conversation with the British Boxing Board of Control. I knew that at this stage, like when a fighter's in hospital on fight week, the board... the red flags from the board will come up straight away. And we were then told that they were keeping him overnight. They couldn't really find anything wrong with him, but they wanted to keep him overnight. At that stage, the fight's not happening. And I spoke to the board doctors, and they said, no, obviously, absolutely no way we will allow him to box. So at that point, I kind of forget about Floyd Schofield. He's not my fighter. He's not my problem. My only focus is on Shakur Stevenson. I've got his back. I ain't letting him not fight on Saturday. And now we've got to go and do a miracle job to make that happen. So in terms of Floyd Schofield, Shakur told me from the start, he won't fight me. I said, and when he landed in Saudi, I was so relieved, Floyd Schofield. I actually texted Shakur. I said, I told you, your boy's there. He's ready. He said, I'm telling you, he won't fight. I'm like, he's there. I don't know the background, the history. I don't know anything about Floyd Schofield, but he put himself in a position where he couldn't fight. And now we've got another opponent.
Obviously, there's been a lot of rumours and reports as to why Floyd is unable to fight, but there's been a lot of talk about the check weight. Was Floyd, in your opinion or to your knowledge, aware of the check weight? Because obviously it's under the British Boxing Board of Control.
No, it's in his contract. So you'd hope so. I mean, unless he didn't read his contract or someone didn't read the contract, and everybody knows the rules of the British Boxing Board of Control, which is on the Wednesday of every championship fight. Before the fight, you have to make a certain weight that's a percentage of over the championship weight. I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing. I get the concept, because the concept is the board don't want you crashing weight late into the weigh-in, which is obviously dangerous. But one of the problems is with a Wednesday check weight, the reality is, whether they want to admit it or not, fighters are making weight for the check weight. Now, when they make weight, they then rehydrate. So you've got a situation, say that, for a 135-pound fighter, they have to be, I don't know the exact, 139 or whatever on the Wednesday. 39 point something. And you make that weight, and you make an effort to make that weight, and you weigh in, and guzzle, 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 guzzle. You have to rehydrate, eat your food, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, you're 145, 46 pound. Now you're 10 or 11 pound over and then you've got 48 hours to get that off. Do you know what I'm saying? So the experts will tell us what's right and wrong. And I understand what the board are trying to do, but certainly for international fighters that haven't experienced it before, it ain't easy. And Virgil Ortiz is another one. Rumours weren't easy for him either. It's not going to be easy.
Josh Padley. How did you land on Josh Padley?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke, as soon as I got the news about Floyd Schofield, I spoke to our matchmakers, Tom Dallas and Kevin Rooney, and said, guys, I'm going to His Excellency's house in about an hour. I need 4 names, and I need you to tell me their medicals are in check. They can fly to Saudi tomorrow. They're on weight. And they come back with 4 names. And I took them to His Excellency at about 2 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. I told him about Floyd Schofield, and I said, look, these are the fighters. I said, this is this guy. And I said, look, this is Josh Padley. He beat your favourite, Mark Chamberlain, at Riyadh Season Wembley. He's 15-0. He's 12 in the WBC. And he went, yeah, let's have him. We then phoned up Steffi Ball and Tom Stalker. We had to negotiate the deal, which was very expensive, but well-deserved. Josh Padley changes his life, gets a shot at the world title, and Shakur Stevenson stays in the fight. So it was a remarkable piece of work, a tough 12 hours, but we got the job done.
When we spoke the other day, you said that beyond this, provided there's no hiccups, you want to try and look at that Gervonta Davis fight as quickly as possible. And I've spoken to Shakur about this yesterday, and it's refreshing, Eddie, because a few years ago when everyone was talking about Shakur, Gervonta, Ryan, Tifimo, Devin, being these new stars coming through, all of them were kind of seeing themselves as the number one. None of them wanted to admit somebody might be ahead of them, whereas Shakur, he makes that admission that he'd be the B-side in a potential Tank fight. What do you think it would take to make a Tank and Shakur
Just
fight?
a fair offer. That's it. I mean, Shakur's made a lot of money. He's not a kid that, of course, our job and the jobs of Jay Prince and Josh Dubin is to maximise the earnings of Shakur Stevenson. He also wants to be a true great. He wants a legacy in the sport. And to do that, beating Gervonta Davis would give him that legacy. He's 28 years old. He's a 3-division world champion. He's already achieved a huge amount, but he wants the biggest fights. He wants to prove himself as the best in the sport. And Shakur should be fighting Tank. Tank should be fighting Shakur. It's one of the best fights in boxing. 2 young American superstars. So, yeah, you're right. This is not Shakur coming out saying, I'm the A-side. I'm a 3-division world champion. It's, I want the... He's just, all we need to do is be respected, which we will be, and the fight's on. And you've got a mega fight already made.
I know that Turki Al-Sheikh's obviously very keen on Shakur Stevenson, but I don't know what the relationship is like between Turkey and PBC. With Gervonta's ties with PBC, could that happen with Saudi Arabia? Or
I don't know. I mean, I think there's been a little bit of resistance in the past from Gervonta, but I don't see why. I mean, everybody else is involved. Everybody else is enjoying the benefits of Riyadh season. Why not? So, I just feel like Lamont Roach and Floyd Schofield, and those I get it, but let's be honest. We know the fight we want to see.
Just moving forward, Eddie, Ortiz Madrimov. For me, that's my personal fight of the night because I just don't quite know what to expect. How does Israel overcome?
It's a 50-50 fight. I think his style is all wrong for Ortiz, but at the same time, Ortiz has a tough style because he has a great engine and he has great output. So he's got to be active, Israel, in this fight. You know, he's got to throw with him at times. He's got to throw more punches than certainly he did against Crawford, but it won't be tricky like Crawford. You know, or Ortiz will be right in front of him. And I do think Madrimov will stop Ortiz late on in a thriller.
I heard you give quite a passionate rant about Anthony Joshua's future on TalkSport earlier already. Do you feel like people are just writing him off now?
I just find it bizarre that some even recognised pundits fail to acknowledge the fights that he's accepted over the years and the fact that he's never ducked anyone. And now all of a sudden they're like, oh, he'll be running scared of the Dubois rematch. Like, why? What's he got to lose? Nothing. We'd love another shot at the world heavyweight title. But people are always going to have their opinions. It is what it is. And he'll be here Saturday, and next week we'll start discussions about what might be next.
Do you think that's most likely for him waiting for the winner of that fight and then look to pursue it?
Maybe, but again, we don't know what happens. Parker will have a rematch clause if he wins. Is there a mandatory? I have no idea. But for us, the preference would always be to fight for the world heavyweight title.
Boots and Stanionis said, I haven't had a chance to ask you about that since it was announced. It's an unbelievable fight. Yeah. Are you happy? How happy are you that you was able to deliver that on the back of, again, people questioning Boots' motive when he had the Ortiz fight?
Yeah, we stayed true to the task. We stayed true to the dream, which was to unify the division, and we turned down opportunities on the basis that we would deliver that dream. So it was a sigh of relief when we delivered that, and not just delivered a unification. We delivered the best fight in the division, 1v2, Ring Magazine, everything. So April 12th at Atlantic City will be a huge night, and it's a very tough fight, and Boots, in my opinion, will become a superstar that night and unify the division.
I know after the rematch with Chichadzian, there was a lot of talk about Boots making weight and how he felt. Is there that risk that maybe he's...
Yeah, sometimes you can hang around one too long. We saw that probably with Ray Ford. But Boots is professional. He doesn't balloon between camps. He'll be 100% ready for Stanionis.